Welcome to Trust at Work, a webinar on how to build, maintain, and repair trust in the workplace. My name is Charles Feltmen, and I'm the author of The Thin Book of Trust, an essential primer for building trust at work, which this webinar is based on. In the webinar, we'll cover fundamental principles and a proven framework for building and maintaining strong trust in the workplace. This material is relevant to anyone who works with others, no matter what kind of organization you work in or what position you hold in your organization. There are three elements to the course: concepts, information, and exercises. Exercises are on slides with a blue background. You will get the greatest value from the course if you do the exercises. They support your learning by giving you a direct experience of the concepts and information presented in the course. You'll need a piece of paper and a pen or pencil to do the exercises. And let's start with one of those exercises. So take out your piece of paper and pencil or pen, and of course you can put the webinar on hold, on pause, to take extra time to answer the questions in this exercise. So to do this exercise, think about the people you work with. Do you have high trust in those people? Most likely there are some that you do have high trust in, and others you don't trust maybe quite so much. For the purpose of this exercise, keep in mind the people you do trust strongly. And in thinking about those people and how you work with them, what does having that strong trust do for you? How does it make you better at what you do, or give you a greater opportunity to really be effective in your job? What does it do for you? So after you've made some notes in answer to that question, now answer for yourself, what does it do for your company? So what is having that strong trust in those people you work with, what does it do for your company? And having answered those two questions, what is the value of having high trust at work overall? What does it do for you? What does it do for your company? What is the value of trust in the workplace? Trust is the foundation for most of what we want at work. People say we want engagement. We want people who are engaged with each other and with the work they're doing. We want people who are committed. We want ourselves to be committed to our company's mission and to each other. We want accountability. People who are accountable and responsible, take responsibility for their actions. We want people who can collaborate, who can work together and coordinate action together effectively towards a common end. We want innovation. We want people to be able to come up with new things and translate those ideas into reality. And of course, we want results, positive results. In short, we want success and well-being, and trust is a precondition for all of these things. Without trust, none of these are sustainable. People stay engaged when they can be honest with each other, argue about ideas, not personality, put their cards on the table and work through issues together. If they don't trust each other, they'll avoid conflict, not share their honest ideas and opinions freely, and not be open to hearing what others have to say. Engagement fades, commitment fades. When people stay engaged and work through issues together, they can fully commit to the decisions they make. Without trust and engagement, people will not commit themselves. When there's commitment, people hold themselves and each other accountable. Without it, people tend not to be so willing to be accountable for anything. Trust is also necessary for collaboration and innovation, where knowledge, ideas, and insights are really coin of the realm. When people trust each other, they share earlier and more widely. If they don't trust, they withhold, causing collaboration and innovation to fail. There are 5 fundamental principles for building trust in the workplace. Research and experience have shown that when people who work together follow these principles, they develop and sustain trust-based relationships that support success and well-being. So the first of these principles is that trust doesn't just happen. Building and maintaining trust takes care, cultivation, and nurturing. Today's workplaces are really minefields of limited time, competing commitments, opposing demands, and just plain old miscommunication that can easily lead to unintended breaches of trust. Once distrust takes hold, it very quickly deepens and becomes toxic to everyone involved. The only way to avoid this is to consciously cultivate trust. Even when trust develops easily and quickly between people initially, it takes nurturing to maintain it. Part of that care and cultivation is being able to talk about trust at work, including being explicit with each other about the behaviors that build trust and what behaviors damage trust in your work environment. People in high trust companies tell us that trust is one of their core values and that they consistently cultivate it. The second fundamental principle is that building trust is a two-way street. People need to be trustworthy with each other. People also need to extend trust to each other. If you aren't seen as trustworthy, the seeds of trust will never be planted. If you don't trust most of the people you work with, you will also limit the growth of trust in your company. So let's take a look at each one of these a little more closely. First, being trustworthy. If asked, you would almost certainly say that you intend to be trustworthy in your dealings with others. And your intention is a good thing. It says you value trust and you value being trustworthy. Your intention is the starting place for being a person other people can trust. But just having the intention to be trustworthy isn't enough. Can you remember a time when you did something that somehow damaged someone else's trust in you, even though it was not at all what you intended? You may not have realized the other person had lost trust in you for some time. All you might have noticed was that they were behaving differently around you. They were less open maybe, or a bit defensive. The damaged trust that resulted from what you did wasn't because you lacked the intention to be trustworthy, was it? But now and then we all can do something someone else sees as a betrayal of their trust. Being trustworthy isn't about whether or not we have the intention. It's the other person's perception of our behavior that counts. So the more we pay attention to the behaviors that build trust and avoid the actions that damage it, the less often we'll find ourselves unintentionally damaging others' trust in us. In this webinar, we'll present a model for building trust that helps people identify and pay attention to just those behaviors, the ones that allow us to build it and the ones that can damage it. Being trustworthy is one half of what it takes to build trust, and the other half is extending trust to others. It doesn't matter if you are a paragon of trustworthiness. Unless you trust other people, no trust gets built. Yet if you trust recklessly, you'll inevitably find yourself in situations where your own trust is betrayed. The important thing is to trust wisely. knowing what to look for in another person in order to make a wise decision about trusting them, is a crucial skill in work and really throughout our lives. Wise trust is not an all-or-nothing proposition. Rather, it is the ability to decide to trust people and at the same time recognize you may need to attach conditions to trusting them. You may need to trust them in some circumstances and not others, and to trust them in some ways and not others. Some people you should not trust at all. Others you can trust in a broad range of circumstances. But even these people may not be trustworthy in certain situations or doing certain things. For example, my wife has said that she trusts me unconditionally in most circumstances, but she's learned that she should not trust me to accurately estimate how long a house project will take or how many trips to the hardware store. But here's an important point. That first time, or even maybe the third or fourth time, I said I could finish a repair job in 2 hours and it turned out to take me 5 hours. If she had said, "Wow, I trusted this guy when he said he'd be done and ready to go out to dinner in 2 hours, and he betrayed that trust. Now, I don't think I can trust him in anything at all," we would have had a very short-lived relationship. Translating this to the workplace, have you ever written someone off completely as untrustworthy in all ways after they had betrayed your trust in one way? If so, what was the cost of this to you or to your team or to your company? Could you have actually been selective about the ways in which you trusted this person? Wise trust at work means trusting people in ways experiences tell you are a good bet, giving them the benefit of the doubt in areas you have little or no information about, but checking to verify your trust is well placed, and not trusting them in areas evidence says you should not. The trust framework we'll cover in this webinar will help you make better decisions about how, when, and how much to trust. As I said earlier, building and maintaining trust in the workplace requires you to consciously and consistently pay attention to it. Everyone on the team, in the department, throughout the entire organization needs to talk about it regularly. Assess how healthy it is, recognize where it's strong, and acknowledge where it is not as high as it could or should be, so you can do something about those situations. To do this, you need a more robust language than just the words trust and distrust. You need a way of identifying and talking about the behaviors that build trust and those that damage it. Trying to have a conversation about trust when all you can say is, "I trust you," or "I don't trust you," is not going to get you very far. And if trust is low and all you can do is tell people you don't trust them, it will only make things worse. As we've noted, trust is built, strengthened, and damaged by how people act. So the language you use to talk about trust has to focus on behavior. It also happens to be the best way to address breaches and betrayals of trust. In this course, we'll introduce a framework and language that does just this. It helps people break the big, ill-defined concept of trust into more specific, concrete, behavior-related words.